Part 28.5, Surah Al-Qasas, The Stories. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Sufi Essence with Hammad Syed. We advance today to the next momentous stage in the majestic narrative of Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, as illuminated by the Holy Quran. Our focus shifts now to the luminous chapter 28, verses 21 to 25 of Surah Al-Qasas, The Stories. This sequence is not merely a description of travel, it is a profound spiritual passage, chronicling the transition from the existential terror of a fugitive in the world's greatest empire to the peace and reliance found in the sanctuary of divine providence. These verses delineate the prophet's journey out of Egypt and his first encounter in the land of Midian, setting the stage for his subsequent prophetic preparation. The flight of Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, spurred by the mortal conspiracy of Pharaoh's chiefs, is the essential, divinely mandated step for his future success. He departs from a life of potential luxury and power, embracing the stark uncertainty of the desert. Trading the security of walls for the boundless protection of Allah, this entire sequence is a masterclass in tawakkul, trust in, Allah. The physical act of seeking refuge is inextricably linked to the spiritual condition of submission. The narrative flow expertly contrasts the turmoil of his escape with the profound tranquility achieved when one places their destiny entirely in the hands of the all-sufficient Allah Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. The flight of faith and the prayer of reliance Kanzel Aman. Quran, Surah Al-Qasas, The Stories, chapter 28, verse 21. So he departed from the city in fear, vigilant. He submitted, "O my Lord, save me from the wrongdoing people." The verse opens with a powerful duality that defines the prophet's state. So he departed from the city in fear. Vigilant. This departure is not a surrender, but a strategic retreat ordered by divine counsel. His fear was the natural, prudent apprehension of a human being fleeing a murderous regime, yet this was tempered by an active vigilance. This vigilance represents his unwavering focus and the utilization of every means of safety available to him. Demonstrating the balance between reliance on Allah and practical effort, he left the city not as a failed prince, but as a future messenger, already exhibiting the required wisdom and self-control that define true leadership. His entire consciousness was engaged in this perilous journey. As he ventures out into the vast, indifferent desert, the perfect canvas for solitude and contemplation, his heart turns to the only true source of security. He raises a desperate yet definitive supplication. "O my Lord, save me from the wrongdoing people." This prayer is profoundly focused. He does not ask Allah to destroy his enemies, but simply to save him, to deliver him from the domain and the designs of those whose nature is defined by systematic wrongdoing. This collective of wrongdoing people represents not just Pharaoh and his chiefs, but the entire oppressive system and the pervasive malice that sought to consume him. This dua is the ultimate act of tawakkul, placing his physical security entirely under the vast, impenetrable protection of Allah's sovereign power, affirming his belief that the escape route is guided by the higher truth, not mere chance. His spiritual state transitioned from the intense political pressure of the city to the liberating submission of the wilderness, where the only thing that mattered was his connection to his Creator. The immense physical and mental relief of leaving the suffocating atmosphere of pharaonic surveillance is immediately channeled into a state of heightened prayer and spiritual presence. The orientation of destiny and the recognition of purpose Kanzel Iman, Uran Surah Al-Qasas, The Stories, chapter 28, verse 22. And when he turned his attention towards Midian, he submitted, "Perhaps my Lord will guide me to the right path." The journey itself becomes the second stage of the prophetic training. Having successfully escaped the immediate grasp of the chiefs, Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, must now navigate a path across the immense Arabian Peninsula. The verse highlights his decisive action when he turned his attention towards Midian. Midian, distant territory known to be outside of Egyptian control, was a strategic target. The choice of direction was not random. It was informed choice, a purposeful orientation of destiny. The very act of setting his gaze upon Midian represents the prophet's reliance on intuitive knowledge and divine guidance, understanding that safety lies in separation from the core of the political contagion. In this moment of profound uncertainty and physical exhaustion, he utters a sentiment of perfect hope and submission. Perhaps my Lord will guide me to the right path. This is not a hesitant or weak statement. Rather, it is the peak expression of prophetic humility and absolute faith. The word perhaps in this context signifies the ultimate submission of the servant to the certainty of his Lord's wisdom. It acknowledges that the journey ahead is unknowable, filled with potential dangers and trials, yet expresses the profound confidence that Allah, the ultimate guide, will direct his steps. He seeks the right path, the path of truth, safety, and righteousness, which is both the physical route to Midian and the spiritual route to his prophetic destiny. This sentiment encapsulates the essence of Sufi striving, the sincere effort of the individual coupled with the profound certainty that only Allah can provide the perfect guidance. Hidbia. This recognition of his need for divine orientation elevates his mere physical journey into a consecrated pilgrimage of destiny. The vast, empty spaces of the desert serve to strip away all worldly attachments and amplify the voice of his Kalb heart, preparing him for the great conversation to come. The well of Midian and the site of virtue, Kenzel, Aman, Quran, Surah Al-Qasas, the stories, chapter 28, verse 23. And when he reached the water of Midian, he found a crowd of men watering their animals, and he found besides them 2 women keeping back their animals. Moses said, "What is the matter with you both?" They said, "We cannot water until the shepherds take their animals away, and our father is a very old man." The conclusion of the arduous journey is marked by his arrival at the communal water of Midian. This geographical landmark serves as the stage for his first recorded interaction in his new life. The scene is one of immediate, chaotic contrast to the solitude of his travel. He finds a crowd of men engaged in the bustling task of watering their animals. The sight is one of raw, competitive human society, a microcosm of the struggles he left behind. It is here that the narrative highlights 2 individuals who stand apart. 2 women keeping back their animals. Their isolation and passive presence amidst the rush of men immediately draw the Prophet's attention. This observation demonstrates Prophet Musa's, peace be upon him, inherent sensitivity to justice and his unwavering moral clarity, qualities that define his character. The simple act of the women waiting patiently, holding back their flock, suggested a subtle injustice or difficulty. His immediate direct question, "What is the matter with you both?" reveals the depth of his concern for the marginalized and his readiness to intercede on behalf of the weak. Their response is a simple, poignant articulation of their predicament. "We cannot water until the shepherds take their animals away. Our father is a very old man." This explanation reveals a social injustice rooted in physical reality. They were prevented from accessing the communal resource due to their gender and the prevailing social dynamics, exacerbated by their father's inability to perform the strenuous work. They were essentially waiting for the men's strength and patience to wane before they could access the well. The women's brief, dignified explanation sets the scene for the Prophet's next crucial action. His moral compass is functioning perfectly, identifying a specific, immediate wrong that he is now able to address. The desert may have tested him, but it did not dull his commitment to fairness. The act of righteous strength and the return to solitude, Kenzel Aman, Quran. Surah Al-Qasas, the stories. Chapter 28, verse 24. So Moses watered their animals for them, then returned to the shade and submitted, "O my Lord, indeed I am needy of any good you send down to me." The Prophet's response is immediate, physical, and profoundly selfless. He does not engage in a drawn-out discussion or a political critique. He simply watered their animals for them. This act is a monumental display of his immense physical strength, his innate compassion, and his quiet nobility. He performed the strenuous, demanding work that the 2 women and their elderly father were unable to manage, demonstrating the appropriate use of power for the cause of justice. This action perfectly mirrors his defense of the Israelite in Egypt, confirming that his character, his commitment to protecting the weak remained constant, though his circumstances had shifted radically. His intervention was purely for the sake of Allah, devoid of any expectation of reward or recognition from the women or the shepherds. Having fulfilled the duty of justice and compassion, he immediately withdraws from the crowd and returns to the shade, a symbol of refuge, quiet contemplation, and removal from the social fray. He seeks no acknowledgement. In this moment of physical exhaustion, the narrative pivots back to his spiritual condition. He submits a simple, beautiful prayer that defines the state of true, faker spiritual poverty. "O my Lord, indeed I am needy of any good you send down to me." This is the prayer of the dispossessed prophet, stripped of wealth, status, and security, acknowledging his absolute dependence on Allah for even the smallest sustenance. He does not demand a specific reward or a specific good, but simply affirms his utter need for any bounty, spiritual or physical, that Allah chooses to bestow. This prayer marks the complete surrender of the self, the recognition that all good comes only from the divine source, placing his entire future in the hands of the provider. This sublime reliance is the very fruit of his recent trials in flight. The invitation and the assurance of safety, Kanz al-Iman. Quran. Surah Al-Qasas, the Stories, chapter 28, verse 25. Then one of the two women came to him, walking modestly. She said, "My father is inviting you, so that he may reward you for watering our animals for us." So when Moses came to him and narrated the entire story, he said, "Fear not, you are saved from the wrongdoing people." The prophet's selfless act is not left unacknowledged by destiny. The narrative continues with a direct consequence of his compassion. Then one of the two women came to him, walking modestly. This detail of her modesty is a clear Quranic emphasis on her virtuous character and respectful behavior, setting the tone for the dignified interaction that follows. She delivers the simple, earnest invitation from her father. "My father is inviting you, so that he may reward you for watering our animals for us." This invitation is rooted in justice and gratitude, seeking to repay a good deed with a kindness in return. Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, accepts the invitation and proceeds to meet the elderly man, who is traditionally identified as Prophet Shuaib, peace be upon him, or a righteous successor to him. Upon meeting the venerable host, the prophet narrated the entire story, recounting his life in Egypt, his act of defense, the conspiracy of the chiefs, and his perilous flight. The host listens intently, and when the narrative concludes, he offers the definitive, life-changing assurance, "Fear not. You are saved from the wrongdoing people." This statement is the ultimate confirmation of Prophet Musa's, peace be upon him, safety and the successful completion of his escape. He is now securely within a righteous territory, outside the domain of pharaonic law and malice. This assurance, coming from a man of wisdom and authority, is the divine confirmation of the answer to the prophet's first prayer upon leaving the city. The entire sequence, from peril to refuge, is confirmed as the meticulous work of Allah's providence. Hadith, the profound state of need and reliance on Allah, demonstrated by Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, in his prayer. "O my Lord, indeed I am needy of any good you send down to me," perfectly reflects the core Islamic teaching on true spiritual poverty and dependence faker. This is beautifully encapsulated in the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, taught, "Be in the world as if you were a stranger or a transient traveler." Sahih al-Bukhari 6416. This hadith provides the spiritual context for Prophet Musa's, peace be upon him, journey. His physical journey from Egypt to Midian mirrors the spiritual journey of every believer. The moment he leaves the city, he instantly becomes a stranger and a transient traveler. Stripped of all worldly security and prestige, his prayer of need is the natural result of embracing this state of detachment. When one truly internalizes that they are merely passing through this world, relying on nothing but the provision of Allah for the next moment, one achieves the perfect state of spiritual independence from creation and total dependence on the Creator. This hadith validates the prophetic experience of Musa, peace be upon him, demonstrating that his flight was not just a means of physical safety, but a profound spiritual exercise in detachment. Fanatho, we avoid the Arabic term, the concept of annihilation of self-will and total reliance on Allah's omnipresent Baka eternality. Let us now supplicate, drawing from the profound lessons of these verses, asking Allah to grant us a deeper understanding and to guide our every step. O Allah, most high, most exalted, we humbly beseech you to grant us the clarity of purpose that guided Musa, peace be upon him, towards Midian, and the unwavering resolve to flee from the clutches of all wrongdoing and systemic oppression. Still in our qalb the profound spirit of vigilance and righteous fear, allowing us to recognize the dangers of heedlessness while relying absolutely upon your infinite protection. When we find ourselves stripped of worldly support and standing in the shade of destitution, Inspire our prayer to be a pure confession of need, O my Lord. Indeed, I am needy of any good you send down to me. Guide our steps to the right path, the path of justice and compassion, so that our strength may always be used to defend the weak and elevate the dignity of the marginalized. Grant us the grace to meet our destiny with submission. Recognizing that every trial and every necessary departure is a deliberate, strategic step in your majestic plan for our ultimate success, protect us from the tyranny of the powerful chiefs and grant us the certain assurance of safety in your refuge, confirming our deliverance from all malevolent people and their dark designs. May our every journey be a consecrated pilgrimage that increases our reliance on your majestic names, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. May Allah illuminate your heart and mind with the light of this divine ilm. May He make your channel a beacon of guidance for all who seek spiritual clarity and truth. May your efforts be a source of immense reward, and may you be granted the highest stations of paradise. May the peace and blessings of Allah always be upon you and your loved ones. May grant you unwavering steadfastness on the path of truth, and may your work be a testament to His magnificent names, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Amin.